Every living thing dies. It's the one rule that has no exceptions. Bacteria die. Trees die. Whales die. Stars die. Death is the price of existence. It's universal, inevitable, final. Except it's not. There's a creature in the ocean, small, translucent, unremarkable, that discovered something the rest of life missed. A loophole. When this animal reaches the end of its life, when it's old, damaged, or dying, it doesn't die. It resets. It reverts back to the beginning, back to infancy, and starts again. Over and over and over. It can do this indefinitely. This animal has solved death, not by avoiding it, by reversing it. It's a jellyfish, tiny, about 4 millimeters across, smaller than your fingernail. For most of history, no one paid attention to it, just another species drifting through the ocean. Until the 1990s, a researcher in Italy named Christian Sommer was studying jellyfish in a lab. He kept some specimens in a tank, watched them mature, waited for them to die. They didn't. Instead, they did something impossible. Adult jellyfish sank to the bottom, their bells shrank, their tentacles retracted. Within days, they had transformed back into polyps, the juvenile stage of jellyfish development. Sommer thought he'd made a mistake, that somehow young jellyfish had contaminated the tank. But when he examined them under a microscope, he realized these were the same individuals, just younger. They had reversed their own aging. And then, from the polyp stage, they matured back into adults. He tested it. Again and again. Same result every time. This wasn't an error. This was evolution breaking its own rules. The creature's name is Turritopsis dohrnii, the immortal jellyfish. To understand what Turritopsis does, we need to understand the normal jellyfish life cycle. Jellyfish start as larvae, tiny swimming specks. The larvae settle and transform into polyp-stalked, immobile forms attached to rocks. Polyps bud off medusae, the free-swimming jellyfish with bells and tentacles. Medusae mature, reproduce, and die. One direction, forward, always forward. Until Turritopsis. When a Turritopsis medusa is injured, starving, or aging, it triggers a process called transdifferentiation. Here's what that means. In most animals, cells are locked into their roles. A heart cell is a heart cell forever. A skin cell is a skin cell. Once a cell specializes, it can't go back. Except in Turritopsis. When this jellyfish reverts, its cells abandon their jobs. Muscle cells stop being muscle. Nerve cells stop being nerves. They become stem cells, blank, capable of becoming anything. And then, as the jellyfish rebuilds itself into a polyp, those stem cells respecialize, new cells, young cells. Zero damage. The jellyfish isn't healing. It's erasing itself and starting over. It's biological time travel. The process takes about 2 days. The medusa collapses. A gelatinous blob forms. Inside, cells frantically rearrange. Then, the blob elongates, develops a stalk, becomes a polyp. From that polyp, a new medusa buds, genetically identical, but biologically younger. The original jellyfish didn't die. It reset, and there's no known limit to how many times it can do this. In theory, a single Turritopsis could live forever. Not a very long time. Forever. One organism. Infinite lifetimes. No memory of where it's been. Just existing. Aging isn't a disease. It's physics. Every time a cell divides, errors accumulate. DNA gets damaged. Proteins misfold. Waste builds up. Eventually, the damage overwhelms the system. The organism dies. This is entropy. the universe's tendency toward disorder. You can't reverse entropy. That's not biology. That's thermodynamics. Except Toratopsis does reverse it. How? We've studied its genome. It has genes other jellyfish don't. Genes for DNA repair, stem cell maintenance, cellular reprogramming. But here's the terrifying part. Every other animal that tried unlimited cellular reprogramming would get cancer. Because cancer is what happens when cells ignore the rules. When they divide uncontrollably, when they refuse to die. Toratopsis activates all the same pathways that cause cancer. But it doesn't get cancer. We don't know how it avoids this. There's a mechanism we're missing, and that matters. Because if we could figure out what that mechanism is, we could potentially apply it to humans. Let's imagine, just for a moment, that we cracked the code, that we isolated the genes, engineered the process, made human cellular reset possible. What would happen? At first, it seems like paradise. No more aging. No more death from old age. Diseases erased. But then the consequences. If people stop dying, they stop vacating resources, jobs, homes, power, generational turnover halts. Young people can't rise, because the old never leave. Innovation slows, because there's no evolutionary pressure, no replacement, no change. And then there's the math. If humans stopped dying but kept reproducing, the population would explode. In 50 years, we'd run out of space. In 100 years, we'd run out of food. Immortality for individuals would mean extinction for the species. Unless we stopped reproducing. And if we stopped reproducing, humanity would freeze. Locked in the present. Forever. No children. No future. Just an eternal now. Toratopsis solved death. But if humans had that solution, it would destroy civilization. Maybe death isn't a bug. Maybe it's the system working exactly as intended. But there's another problem with Toratopsis. Even if we could replicate the mechanism, there's the question of identity. When the jellyfish resets, what happens to its memory? Jellyfish don't have brains, they have nerve nets. Simple, distributed neurons. Those neurons are dismantled and rebuilt during transformation. Does the jellyfish remember its previous life? We don't think so. The neural structure is too different, which means every time it resets, the self is erased. The body persists, but the individual, if we can even call it that, dies, and is replaced by a new one. So is it the same jellyfish? Or is immortality just a very slow form of dying? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Toratopsis doesn't extend life. It restarts it. Every reset is a blank slate. No memory, no continuity. Imagine that as a human. You live, you age, and then you revert to a baby. Your memories, gone. Your relationships, forgotten. Your identity, erased. Is that immortality? Or is that just dying with extra steps? Toratopsis drifts through the ocean, ageless, endless, alone. It will cycle again, and again, and again. It will never die of old age, but it will also never remember where it's been. Because here's the truth about immortality. It doesn't remember itself. Every reset is a small death, a forgetting. The body survives, but the self doesn't. So what's being preserved? A pattern, a sequence, a loop, but not a life. Not in the way we understand life. Toratopsis is immortal, but it's not anyone. It's a process, not a person. An echo with no original sound. Death is a rule. The only rule everything follows. Except Toratopsis. It broke the rule. But in breaking it, it lost something else. The one thing that makes life matter. An ending. Because without an ending, there's no story. Just repetition. Forever. Immortality exists, but it doesn't remember itself. If you want to see more creatures that challenge what we think life is, subscribe. Because the rules aren't what we thought, and breaking them doesn't always set you free.